Once upon a time, there was an empire so vast that people used to say, the sun never sets on it. That empire was the mighty British Empire. It ruled oceans, it controlled continents. It shaped the modern world. But how did a small island nation become the ruler of nearly 1/4 of the earth? This is that story. In the 1500s, England was not the most powerful nation in Europe. Powerful empires like Spanish Empire and Ottoman Empire dominated trade routes and global politics. But England had something special: ambition. Under Queen Elizabeth I, English explorers began sailing into unknown waters. Ships crossed dangerous oceans searching for gold, spices, land, and glory. Then came a turning point. In 1588, England defeated the mighty Spanish Armada. This victory gave England confidence, and control of the seas began shifting. The island nation realized something powerful. Whoever controls the oceans controls the world. The 1600s and 1700s became the age of colonization. English settlers sailed to United States, then called the American colonies. They moved into Canada, parts of the Caribbean, and began trading heavily with India. But Britain did not conquer everything through war. Sometimes it used trade. The powerful East India Company arrived in India as merchants. They promised business partnerships. They asked for trading rights. Slowly, carefully, strategically, they built armies. They interfered in local politics. They took control. By the mid-1700s, Britain was no longer just a trading partner in India. It was becoming the ruler. The Industrial Revolution began in Britain in the late 1700s. Factories rose. Machines roared. Steam engines powered ships and trains. Britain needed raw materials, new markets, cheap labor. Its colonies provided everything. Cotton from India, sugar from the Caribbean, tea from Asia, gold and diamonds from Africa. The empire grew richer and larger. By the 1800s, the British Empire controlled India, Australia, large parts of Africa, Canada, parts of the Middle East islands across the Pacific. At its peak, it ruled over 400 million people. 1 out of every 4 people on Earth lived under British rule. India was called the jewel in the crown. In 1857, Indian soldiers rebelled against British rule in what became known as the Indian Rebellion of 1857. It shocked Britain. After crushing the rebellion, the British government removed power from the East India Company and took direct control. In 1877, Queen Victoria was declared Empress of India. The empire was at its height. Railways were built. English education spread. British law was introduced. But so were heavy taxes, economic exploitation, and political suppression. Not everyone saw British rule as progress. Many saw it as occupation. In the late 1800s, European powers rushed to divide Africa in what history calls the scramble for Africa. Britain took Egypt, Sudan, Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria. Its dream was to control land from Cairo to Cape Town, but resistance was everywhere. In South Africa, conflicts with the Dutch settlers led to the Second Boer War. Britain won, but at a cost. The empire was strong. But cracks were forming. In 1914, the world went to war. The World War I drained Britain's money, soldiers, and power. Millions died. Colonies fought alongside Britain. India alone sent over 1 million soldiers. After the war, Britain gained new territories in the Middle East. But by 1945, Britain was exhausted. Financially broken, militarily stretched. The empire could no longer hold its colonies by force. After World War II, freedom movements exploded. In India, leaders like Mahatma Gandhi used nonviolent resistance. After years of struggle, India gained independence in 1947. Soon after, Pakistan became independent. African nations began demanding freedom. Caribbean colonies followed. By the 1960s, most of the empire was gone. One by one, nations raised their own flags. The empire that once ruled the world was shrinking rapidly. By the late 20th century, the British Empire had transformed into the Commonwealth of Nations, a voluntary association of independent countries. Britain was no longer an empire. It was a modern nation among many, but its influence remained. English became a global language. British law shaped legal systems worldwide. Railways, borders, and institutions left lasting marks, both positive and controversial. The British Empire built railways, schools, and global trade networks. But it also Exploited resources, divided communities, caused famines, suppressed cultures. History sees it as complex. For some, it was progress. For others, it was pain. The truth lies somewhere in between. Imagine a small island rising to control 1/4 of the planet. That is the story of ambition, power, strategy, industry, war, and resistance. The British Empire lasted over 400 years. It shaped modern borders. It influenced global politics. It changed millions of lives. And like all empires before it, Roman, Ottoman, Spanish, it rose and it fell. Because no empire lasts forever.